Bueno, hoy, en el primer día de feria, empezamos en Publisher Weekly con una conversación entre Theodor Kallifatides y su editor de Galaxia Gutenberg, Joan Tarrida, que hablarán sobre su libro Timandra. Este es un año muy especial para Theodor aquí en España, porque acaba de recibir en marzo el Premio de Honor Internacional de Bilbao, Gutunsuria. Queremos agradecer también a Storytel y a Galaxia Gutenberg por facilitar este encuentro. Bienvenidos.
Muchísimas gracias, Carmela. Well, as Carmela said, it's an honor to be here in this Storytel stand here, and having the big opportunity to talk and to discuss with Theodor Kallifatides about his books. Theodor has written around more than 40 books, but at the moment in Spain we just published 5 of them. And the most recent one is Timandra. And we will start talking with Theodor about Timandra. What's the difference between Timandra and the rest of your books?
The main difference is that I have written it, I'm writing about a woman, but I'm writing the book as the woman herself. She's the one who speaks in the book, but behind her is me. And it was an experiment to try to think and feel and describe things and feelings like a woman. Because everybody tells us that we are very different. I wanted to find out, are we so different? So that was the main reason.
But it's not only that you are writing about a woman,
No.
and Timandra is telling her story in first person, but also you situate Timandra was a real person that exists in the Athens in the 5th century before Christ.
She was very well known in Athens. She could talk with Socrates and Plato and Alcibiades and other people like that around here. And the reason for that it was that she was very pretty, very intelligent, and free. She was not a married woman. She could choose her companion. And it was also a rather tragic circumstance that she was the woman who was the last one when actually he died, away from alone and miserable. And he was one of the most well-known politicians, military people. He was known for his intelligence, his extreme beauty. He was called beautiful and also for his extreme capacity to change opinion. And it was a war going on between Athenians and Spartans, like the war of Troy. And he changed sides, more or less all the time. So he had everything, he lost everything, and the only person that was left with him was Timandra, which writes a book at the night while they are waiting for his kingdom.
And Alcibiades was, in fact, the big general of the Athenian army.
Yes.
And that means that this novel, you can say, is a novel about love and war.
Yes, of course. Most of literature is like that. And yes, war is something that I always think about and write about because I have experienced 2 wars. The Second World War as a child and the Civil War. is a young child. And they made such impression to me that if there is something I hate, is the idea of war. And I don't see that war, any war, solved any problem. It created new ones all the time. For example, the Second World War was fought for the democracy. And the war ended with the democracy winning. What happened to democracy? Half of Europe was under Stalin, and the other half was like this, either under Britain and later on the United States. Our governments were not really popular governments, they were elected in the embassies. So, more than 50 million people died for democracy, nothing happened.
Yeah, because part of Europe, as you said, it was under the communism. Countries like Spain, Portugal, Greece were under dictatorships.
You had your own troubles.
We had our own troubles. Yeah, but as you said, Timandra is different in this sense. But did you wrote other books where a female character was the main character?
Yes. My mother is the main character of a novel, and well, I have written also a book about a friend of mine who died young. And she was a woman. Yes,
And
I have written often about women.
yeah, and what's the most complicated for you as a writer when you talk in the voice of a
Of a
woman?
woman. Well, physical things. To describe, for example, her looking at her breast. How could I imagine that? I'm a thin little Greek. So it was difficult. But then I thought, well, why? And I looked at myself. I wrote trying to go beyond the limits of masculinity. Because masculinity is also an idea. There is nothing that given by nature, male or female. We're human beings to begin with. And I was trying to find the human being in me. And I think that as human beings, we're much closer than as sexes. For example, they say that only a mother can love as a mother can. But no, it's not true. When I discovered that my father had the same immense love for his children, it was a revolution. I never thought that men could love in that way. I mean, the man was in prison for several months, tortured every day.
By the Nazis.
Yeah, by the Nazis. And the only thought he had in his mind, and the thought he saved his life, it was the thought of me being 3 years old and waiting for him. And he never said that to me, but he said to my mother. The only thing that kept me alive was the idea that I had a 3-year-old boy waiting for me. I could not die. I mean, if this is not love, what is love?
And the previous book that we published here in Spain were about your experience, the experience of your family, the experience of the First World War, the experience also of the Civil War that came after the Second World War, etc. And but Timandra is the first one that we published that is based on the antiquity. Do you have other books also
About antiquity.
about antiquity?
Yes, I have written one book about the Greek mythology called Aphrodite's Tears, and is a book that I like very much, but it does not mean that the reader like very much. And then also I have written a novel about Heracles, because Heracles in medieval times, was considered to be a saint. It was Heracles and something, and because of what he did. And I try to think what exactly mean the things that he did. And I understood that more of the Heracles deeds were very modern, actually. I mean, El Pulpo, La Hydra,
Mm.
it still exists, the symbol of mafia.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the authoritarian rules that he was not that, it was not Heracles who did that, but anyway, the idea that somebody must fit a certain bed. And if people were longer, they cut their legs. And if people were shorter, they left their legs and their arms. This is the total idea of totalitarianism. Cannot be better expressed. And all what he did, it was actually things that you can see today. And not only you can see them today, but women still need them. I mean, we have a lot of um, narcos. We have a lot of corruption, political, social, economic corruption. We have a war in Ukraine and Russia. We have another one going on all the time against the poor people. And what Heracles did was connected with this problem.
That means that every time that you write a book based on the antiquity, in fact, you are thinking in our world
Yeah,
now, in our
yeah,
today.
of
Is
course.
what you said. You did also with Letters to My Daughter. That is a book
Yeah,
that you write the letters, the supposed letters that the Latin poet Ovidio
yeah.
wrote to his daughter from the exile. No?
That's right. That's right. Because the video interested me as the first one poet intellectual who was punished for his poems. Never before. He was punished for his poems. And when try, I started reading about it, I discovered that he had uh, developed in his exile very much alike what modern immigrants go through today. He had to learn the language, he had to learn to eat the new food, he had to learn to speak, to speak with in their terms, in their ways. He had to fight in their wars. And all of it ended that he wrote a poem about them in all their language. It is like describing me and many others. And the idea that the development of humanity is so rapid is wrong. We don't develop rapidly. What develops is complete around. But as characters, we are born barbarians and we have to educate ourselves all the time.
And it happened the same with more or less what you express in your book Otra Vida por Vivir.
Yeah,
You also had to change the language when you left
exactly.
because of political reasons Greece,
Exactly.
and you went to Sweden,
True.
and you have to change the language, you have to change your writing. And you feel that this Ovidio is also a figure that allow you to explain these changes that you also
Of
suffer.
course, of
And
course,
this, sorry,
video.
Theodor, this has to be your very last answer.
I have to be more relaxed.
No, no, that this has to be your last answer. This is the, we have to
Okay,
finish the
okay.
interview.
We have to talk about
About Mandra a little
the
bit?
audiobooks.
Okay,
The last chapter.
a little bit more.
Ovidio had a slave with him from Rome, but when he was there, inspired by the local people, he gave to the slave his liberty. But the slave said, "What is liberty? This is my job." And I mean, the idea of liberty took ages and ages, and we have to begin again and again. And this is our destiny. Nobody is born wise. We are born as physical ecstasy, crying for food, crying for milk, crying for tenderness, and then we have
Okay, Theodor, thank you very much. The books by Theodor Kallifatides are on paper, are on ebooks, are also in audiobooks, in Storytel. That means that you have full of the opportunities to read them.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Siempre es un honor tenerte en Publisher Weekly y en España, Theodor. Así que un placer teneros a los dos. Gracias de nuevo a Storytel y a Galaxia Gutenberg. Y espero que hayáis disfrutado de esta conversación, que seguro ha sido muy interesante para todos nuestros oyentes. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.